Hey everybody, this is Zac Buchanan. Today we are going to be polishing up the faces of some guards on this disc grinder. We're going to start at 400 grit. The guards will have a milled finish on the top of them, so we're going to have to clean out all those milling marks and get below them, and then we can start polishing up the face of the guard. So if you like to watch things being built and you like knives, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you've got any questions or comments, you've got a video that you'd like me to make, go ahead and leave that down below. I will try to get back to you. I'll try to contact you back, and I always love to hear from people. So go ahead and let me know what you guys think. And if you know anybody that likes knives or is trying to learn how to make knives, please go ahead and share my videos with them. I would really appreciate it, and they might appreciate it too. So right now I'm just applying a piece of 400 grit sandpaper, cutting off the edges to make it round. And right here you can see that I'm trying to make it stick, and it's really just not sticking. It keeps popping back up. So I'm just going to go ahead and rip that off, and I'll turn the machine on, get some of my spray adhesive and shake it up, and then I will go ahead and apply a thin layer of glue, and this will help to make the sandpaper stick more easily. I always like to clean the nozzle of the glue off, because if you don't clean that nib, it'll just get caked up with glue and then it won't spray anymore. Alright, so here we are just applying the sandpaper again, and then we will start up with the actual process of this. Here we go. This is not the stuff I like to use. I like to use the 3M, I think it's like 73 or something like that, but this is AC 50, and it seems to work. Alright, so here we have the collar guard for a New York special. This has the milling marks, it's just freshly off the milling machine. We're going to go ahead and remove those marks and get it nice and smooth and flush. So I'm coming in flat and just pressing the face of the guard into the sandpaper, trying to use equal pressure the best I can. You can see part of this has been smoothed out, but then there's still almost like a fingerprint of marks up there and down on the bottom. So we got to go back and get those out. So I'll move kind of back and forth a little bit, maybe up and down a little bit, but I'm not rocking the guard. I'm keeping it flat up against the sandpaper. Alright, so we got just a couple deep marks down there. We'll just go back and we'll clean those up real quick, and then we can move on to the next grit. With a small guard like this, it really doesn't take much time to get it polished up. Bigger guards or lugged guards can take longer. Some of the stuff you actually have to hand polish rather than just take it to the machine. Alright, so that was 400 grit. We'll go ahead and move on. We are now at 800 grit. We're going to be doing essentially the same steps. We're using equal pressure. We're not, shoving one side in harder and letting one side drift up. We'll get a lopsided guard if we do that. So we gotta keep in mind that we're always using flat, equal pressure. As you can see, I flipped the guard around in my hand there. That's just to try to make sure that, since I'm human, I will not be using equal pressure, even though I'm trying my best. So I'll flip it around and just try to equalize everything and balance everything out. Alright, so this was 800 grit. Still a little cloudiness up in this corner. We'll go ahead and take that back to the disc grinder and try to polish that out. If something looks cloudy, it's probably scratches left over from your last grit. So everything should kind of have like almost a matte finish. I guess matte isn't necessarily the correct term, but an equal polish across the entire surface. Alright, so this is what the 800 grit is going to look like when it's finished. You can still see some pretty broad scratches. We are now at 1200 grit. I don't use any kind of polishing compounds or oils or anything, not WD-40 or anything. I just use the dry paper and that's all. You won't actually be able to see what you're accomplishing when the face of the guard is pressed into the sandpaper, so you will have to stop and check every so often just to make sure that you are heading in the right direction. You're not leaning the guard and rounding an edge or anything like that. You just want to check and make sure that everything is looking good. Alright, so on the bottom here we have 1200, on the top we have 800. You can see the lines getting more fine and just looking more polished. Alright, so we are now on 2000 grit. This is the second to last grit. Basically with sandpaper you want to go about double. So I went from 400 to 800 to 1200 to 2000, and then I'll be at 2500. So you could go a little bit more aggressive than what I'm doing, but I think it makes it a little easier. Alright, so this is 2000 grit. Very nice fine lines on there. And then we will just go to the 2500. This is the last step. With the disc grinder, the outside moves slower than the inside, so it'll move faster the closer you get towards the center of the wheel, but there's more sandpaper towards the outside of the wheel. So I don't know, in my opinion, it kind of all removes material at about the same speed, but I honestly don't know. There's 2500. It looks pretty smooth. If you take that to a buffer, it'll get all those marks out really easily. This guard on top is 400 where we started, and 2500 on the bottom. Okay, got these guards polished up to 2500. I want to thank everybody for stopping by and watching. I'll see you next time.